Hi everyone, my name's Anthony Cummins. Welcome to an Introduction to Taoism Part 2. Now, one of the things you should really understand about Taoism is the fact that it has got so many diverse avenues that some of them don't look anything like other ones. And what we would consider Taoism are actually very different when you go into the different sub-branches. Now, one of the terms that gets bandied around is Taoist philosophy. Now, what you have to be careful here is we're using English terms, and some of these terms are translated from Chinese terms. When we say Taoist philosophy, what we actually mean is classical Taoism, or Taoism from the classical period. Now, the word Taoism can't be dated back beyond the 1800s. It's an English word based on a Chinese word, the Tao or Tao. That is the word it is based on. We've all come to know it as Tao, and as trends and fads go on, it's now Tao, and some people say the correct pronunciation of Tao, but it sounds a little bit strange when you do it in Chinese. So, Taoist philosophy, which is classical Taoism, actually comes from this word. I won't try and pronounce it because I have not studied Chinese, so it's quite difficult, to be honest. But this is what we consider Taoist philosophy. But it literally means schools of Taoism, flows or lineages of Taoism. This word is actually 2,000 years old, and he doesn't give the full history of it, but he does say there were translation issues even back then, trying to put together all these different lines into one term that would give off the effect of people understanding through written word. It became quite complicated, and he even says that back in classical Chinese periods they didn't really have a definitive word for religion or it's religious. They actually had to invent one later on because religion was just inside of their life so much that it was just life. That was their lifestyle. So we have to be careful when we detach and come from a Western point of view, or no, a modern point of view, and see it as an individual religion outside of life. Now, the Chinese classical period is from the 6th century to the 3rd century BC, so approximately 300 years, and it ended about 300 years before Christ, and that's the period you're looking at. So it's really quite old, and that is what you are thinking of when you think of Taoism. You are thinking of that period where you got Lao Tzu and you've got all the other different classical writers. Now, in this classical period there are 5 famous classical writers which will be on the screen now. Now, these are the guys that have wrote down their understanding of Tao and how they approach and interact with the Tao, but also you should be aware that one of them is actually thought to be, or his writings are thought to be extinct, and what's in its place is a forgery. So there are actually issues to whether which ones are real historical texts or not. So how can we summarise what classical Taoism is? Right, there are 6 things basically for what you could understand as classical Taoism. So here you go. Number 1 is the study and interaction of the way. That is Tao. Now, what it is people understand that the Tao is out there, but they are basically interacting with it and working out how to interact and unify and harmonise with Tao, if you like. The second one is a subject called skepticism, which basically means to question reality, to question things about you, to even question the idea of questioning things. It's a very philosophical way of looking at life. Number 3 is to return to a state of perfection. That is to unlearn things, to return back to your original form. This leads into number 4, which is unlearning behavioural habits. Everything you've acquired through culture, through education, through learning, you have to drop that off, and the more you get rid of it, the closer to the way you become. Number 5 is interacting with the way, the Do. So what it means is that you interact with, no matter what life is thrown at you, you interact with it, and this is where Wu Wei comes in, this idea of not going against the grain, this idea of not struggling in any form or direction of action. Number 6 is a return to simplicity, a simple lifestyle, simple mind, simple action, making everything very clear, very calm, very basic inside of your life. So they're the 6 main themes for classical Taoism. Now, next time we're going to move on to the more religious Taoist aspects, and we're going to be carrying on with the book. I hope you enjoyed that, and see you next time.